So today's topic is how to work with Inventor and Vault from remote office, so potentially working from home. My name is Max Botner. I'm a technical consulting lead. I've been working in the industry, the reseller channel for the last 20 years with a lot of expertise in the data management, covering a range of different industries from automotive, defense, manufacturing, utilities, and infrastructure. We're here to assist you and your business in a number of different ways. So we can help out with on-site or online training, consulting and integration of different systems, BIM implementations in common data environments. And we can also assist with management of your current CAD environment or customized content creation. So if you do need assistance with any of these items, please reach out to us. I'll include a phone number and an email address at the end of the presentation. So I thought I'd start today, first of all, just with getting up and running with the client software, first of all, from home. So basically installing and running Inventor and Vault. I guess it depends too if you are taking an existing workstation from work to home. Software is probably already installed, and it's just a matter of activating the licenses. But if you are planning to install the software at home, you might want to log on to your Autodesk account, download both the Inventor and Vault software. Just make sure you check your computer requirements, make sure that the workstation does meet those requirements, and also ensure that all the service packs and updates are also installed on your system. In terms of installing and running Inventor from home, there's a few different options. With the introduction of desktop subscription, named accounts is the easiest way. So that essentially involves adding a user to your Autodesk account and assigning the product. I've got some information in the next slide that will go through that. Option 2 is the old standalone license, or potentially even activating the home use. With home use activation, you just install the software and run with the same serial number that's used in the office. Option 3, with a network license, you can also request a home use serial number. This is a different serial number that's requested through the Autodesk account, and it's valid for 12 months to be used at home. If you're wanting to borrow a license from your current license manager, you'll have to do that either in the office before you take the computer home, or potentially from home through a VPN connection. You can borrow those licenses. The maximum period can be borrowed is up to 6 months. If you get stuck with any of those 3 options I just mentioned above, just jump on the Autodesk website and ask Ava. She'll guide you through some of the steps that I've mentioned. Makes the process of requesting that license information a little bit easier. If you're still having issues, I'll encourage you to either reach out to us on the 1-800 number or send us an email at support@a2ktechnologies.com.au. As far as installing and running Vault from home, some recent changes to the Vault licenses has opened up the ability to basically use either a standalone license. just make sure you reach out to your primary, secondary admin. So this is your contract manager, software coordinator. They can add your user to the Autodesk account and then assign the Vault product to your user. When you start Inventor, before you are asked to log into the server, you'll be asked to log into the Autodesk account, and assuming that that product has been assigned to you, you'll be able to register that license. The second option with network licenses, you'll have to access your current Vault license server, which doesn't necessarily previously used to be the Vault server, but that licensing module has changed, so it can be a different server now, and you can borrow that license. So we can now borrow network licenses from Vault server, and yeah, that's again, as far as borrowing, it's up to a period of 6 months. Just a note to just ensure that you have the latest updates using either Desktop Manager, or download the updates and apply some of the lack of some of these updates can sometimes cause problems with the licensing. So we're now going to go through some options of working with Vault from home. So what are the options? We're going to go through 4 options today. VPN into your network, moving your Vault to the cloud, accessing or setting up your Vault server to be accessible over the internet, and setting up your Vault in a DMZ environment. So what is VPN? VPN is usually a method of connecting a client to your work network. It can be used, it can be set up a number of different ways, either using third-party VPN connection or Windows. And basically, once you're connected, it's like you're on the company network. How do you set this up? I would encourage you to reach out to your IT department and have a chat to them about providing you with a VPN client. The limitations and restrictions, I guess, as far as internet speed, depending on your speed and bandwidth, you can expect slower speeds than compared to when you're in the office. This shouldn't affect working with data if you just consider a few different ways of improving that performance. And a couple of different ways I'd like to mention is possibly on check-in, turn off DWF creation. That usually adds time to the check-in time. Also consider checking in smaller subsets of data, so selecting 10, 20, 30 parts and checking them in at once rather than trying to check in 100 or more. Another option, if you're using content center libraries that are stored in Vault, you may want to consider converting those or using the desktop content libraries instead. They can be installed on everybody's machine. So when you place a part from Content Center, you're accessing local data rather than having to access the Vault server. If you are using custom Content Center libraries, there is an option to convert those libraries to a desktop content. And then once converted, those libraries again can be saved on to the local machines, and that will assist with performance issues. In terms of bandwidth and internet outages, I guess you can plan the download of data. So large downloads, you can plan for it the night before, or an hour before you start working. Once the data is downloaded and potentially checked out, if you do get internet outages, you can work on the information locally and keep saving the info locally. And then when the connection comes back up, then you can perform a check-in to create new versions in Vault. So those are some of the available options to get around some of the limitations. Second option I'd like to go through is setting up your Vault onto a cloud environment. And there are basically a couple of different ways of doing this. You can either set up a subscription directly to Microsoft Azure or Amazon Cloud, or you can contact us for on-premise service. We use Microsoft Azure. We can assist with basically providing that environment for ongoing fee. In terms of getting this set up, as long as a server meets the minimum requirements, it's a matter of installation of the Vault application, some configuration of ports, including certain client IP addresses, and then copying a current backup of your Vault onto the cloud server, and then restoring. Once the restore is complete, then clients can access that server from anywhere they are located, as long as they have an internet connection and those IP addresses have been included to provide access to the server. What are the limitations? I guess in terms of initial setup of the Vault server, you probably should consider the size of your backup, which will help you to, size up the original server, and also consideration be given to the size of the backup that has to be copied locally in order to be restored. I guess as far as internet speed, bandwidth, and internet outages, the same recommendations as I've mentioned earlier in terms of, turn off DWF, have desktop content local, and check out in case of internet outages. And those same recommendations apply. One limitation worth mentioning is the AD integration. So you may have to use Vault user accounts instead of AD accounts, unless you want to actually set up a connection between your Vault server on the cloud and your Active Directory in the network. Option 3, if you do decide to make your Vault server available in the public domain, our recommendations would be to still access this server through a VPN connection, and also implement SSL, secure socket layer, just to provide some additional security. For the SSL configuration, you do need to consider the purchase of a public certificate such as VeriSign, and then there is some configuration at the server level on the IaaS side, so the Internet Information Services, and then also those certificates will need to be imported on each client. In terms of limitations and restrictions, the same apply as I mentioned earlier, with the additional 2 in terms of just ensuring that a public certificate or public valid certificate is obtained and registered, and just be aware of some limitations with the AD integration. So for example, on the Vault Thick client, you may be able to only use Vault accounts from outside of the network, where with the Thin client, you will be able to use AD accounts. Last option that I'd like to go through today is Vault in the DMZ. What do we mean? It's a demilitarized zone. It's a term used in the defense industry. So I guess its main purpose is to add an additional layer of security to a local area network, and it works by providing a small isolated network that's positioned between the internet and the private network. We are using, in this scenario, we are using we're leveraging the SQL replication. So you will need to consider, I guess, as far as products, Vault Professional, a full SQL to enable replication. And also, I guess, you need to consider the current IT infrastructure. And if that's capable of supporting this type of setup. I'd like to also, in closing, just present some of the other options to consider. I guess as far as desktop virtualization, the ability to use Citrix. Autodesk now supports a number of products on a Citrix environment. So if you chose to leave your workstation in the office, you could connect to that workstation via Citrix or potentially even TeamViewer. And that means you can connect essentially any machine at home. As far as some of the other options for Vault Workgroup users, you could consider using a combination of the desktop connector. This is an AutoCAD, an Autodesk application that creates a local folder, and any files placed in that folder will automatically sync to Autodesk Drive. So Autodesk Drive being the A360 cloud storage. For Vault Professional users, Vault is able to connect in a number of different ways to the Autodesk hubs, being through Fusion Team, using the desktop connector, or BIM 360 Docs, again using the desktop connector. My colleague Jeff Geld is presenting a webinar in the next hour, and he'll be discussing the workflow of Fusion Team with desktop connector to be able to share Inventor files. Optionally, if you did have Vault Professional, you could also leverage the use of Project Sync, which is a method of automatically sending information to one of the two hubs. So it has the ability to send Inventor and other information two ways. So it can send you can send it to the hub, or it can read it from the hub into your current Vault database. And lastly, I just should mention shared views. Not only shared views are available inside of Vault, so it's a way of being able to collaborate on a visual representation of a model or a drawing. So you can do this within Vault. You can then send that link to someone. They just need an Autodesk account to log in and view that file, and then they could provide comments, markups. That information can then be synced inside of yours, so it automatically gets updated inside of your Vault browser. The other thing to consider is that if you didn't use Vault, this functionality of creating a shared view is also available inside of the CAD application. So And then inside Inventor AutoCAD, you have the ability to create a shared view, which just opens up the ability to collaborate on these files a little bit easier. In any case, when you do consider any of the options that we've gone through today, just please consult with your company network administrator and security team on options that are available. And then if you do require some more information, please reach out to us and we can advise further. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Here's your phone number if you do wish to reach out to us, 1-800-223-562, solutions@a2ktechnologies.com.au, and our website. And I'll open up to anyone that may have any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions being raised by anyone. So thank you once again for attending today's webinar, and just look out for the next webinar on Fusion Team, and hope to hear from you soon. Great. Thank you.